St. Augustine wrote that the confession of evil works is the first and beginning of good works. A lot of times when we think of confession, it kind of stirs in us an uncomfortable feeling. Maybe we feel like it's a negative thing, and who wants to drudge up all their sin or talk about their struggles? But the beautiful thing about confession is that once we really start to walk in what it is, when we really start to practice it, it becomes a spiritual discipline that brings life, that brings joy and authenticity to us. And when we think of confession, something I kind of like to think of is a house. You are having people over and you're going to maybe pick up your house before they come in, or maybe you're going to have mowed the front lawn because you want your curb appeal to look nice, or you have your kids and your family, you all pick up inside. But a lot of times what ends up happening is you're just kind of shoving things in closets, or you're shoving things in cabinets because you want, at least when they come in, their first impression and what is on the exterior to look nice. And that's a lot of times what we do in our Christian life is we kind of put on this mask. We kind of worry more about what people think about us on the exterior. We work more on our curb appeal and how people perceive us than we are really willing to let them come in and see our true selves and kind of see really that there is a mess inside, but that's okay. That's the beauty of what Christ did for us on the cross. He didn't just die for our sins of the past. He died for all of our sins, past, present, and future. And so we can bring all these into the light, and there is redemption for them. And so when we participate in the practice of confession, what we're doing is aligning ourselves under the shadow of the Almighty. And we don't have to do this. We don't have to confess in front of the entire congregation on a Sunday morning, go up and take the mic and tell everyone everything that you've done. But it is important to confess our sins to God, but then it is also important to confess our sins to a community of trusted believers, men and women in our lives who want to encourage us, who hold us accountable, who know that we are seeking to follow after God and would be a safe place for us to show our messes to. This is what true community looks like. And so confession is actually a spiritual discipline that's considered a corporate discipline, that we are to confess to one another. And then be also a safe place where people can confess their sin to us. Again, not to judge or put shame or condemnation on anyone, but to point one another back to a holy and loving God. I've noticed a lot of times in the church, we're really quick and comfortable talking about the sin that we've walked through before we knew Jesus. We love a testimony day, right? We love to hear stories of what people experienced and walked through before they got to know Jesus. But then once we kind of understand the beautiful work that Jesus has done for us and we decide to follow after him, there's a little bit more timidity when we have to confess our sin. It almost feels like there's more shame when we sin after we know Jesus has loved us and after we have chosen to follow after him. But Paul understood that this was going to always be an issue. We were going to always have to battle our flesh. We are a new creation, yes, absolutely, but day in and day out, we are having to take off our old self and put on the new self. In Romans 7, Paul even talks about this struggle of what it means. He says, sometimes I do the things that I hate to do, but sometimes there's something I really want to do, but I just can't do it. And the only way that we can walk in that fullness that God gives us is when we do those things that we hate to do, is that we practice the discipline of confession. We practice and we share with someone what we have walked through, what we have done. And even though we know God's goodness and God's mercy is what it will be extended to us, there's still a beautiful posture of recognizing that we aren't the ones that are perfect, but we are dependent on the most perfect God. Proverbs 28:13 tells us, whoever conceals his transgressions will not prosper, but he who confesses and forsakes them will obtain mercy. So let's be people that practice the spiritual discipline of confession. Let's be people that are ready and willing to acknowledge that we have a house that is messy, that we have things that we need to pick up. Let's not spend our energy and time trying to look perfect and be perfect and have this great curb appeal, but let's be people who seek the heart of God, who are recipients of his mercy and confess to him and to one another where we have fallen short of the glory of God.